Hi, I'm Craig Conway and welcome to the Rovers Chat, the home of everything Blackburn Rovers.
Hello Rovers fans and welcome to our post-match live stream after the defeat away at Queen's Park Rangers this afternoon. It's not the hope that gets you, or however the phrase goes. Rovers have fallen to defeat today when plenty of us were confident before the game. So disappointing defeat, but as ever, we will dissect it and unpick it on the show this evening. So thank you for joining us. Joe, you are back with us, Rovers Analytics. How are you doing, mate?
Well, I wish I wasn't here in such rubbish circumstances. I wish I could have done the pre-match with some optimism. It's been a bit of a long day, so you might be seeing me at my most negative today, maybe.
Well, some of the comments that we've had in so far, some people are very disappointed, and Luke and I on the watch along as well. There were some people there as well that were disappointed. I'm sure that will come through, and you will not be alone. Jonathan, fresh from your deadline day exploits, how are you doing, mate?
Oh, the excitement and the adrenaline that was flowing from them have certainly gone. So yeah, really frustrating today.
Yeah, very frustrating. And Luke, you and I have just done the watch along. We've watched that together. We've enjoyed watching that together, weirdly, but not the result we wanted. But good to have you with me on the post match as well.
Yeah, it was a nice way to watch the football, having not had that opportunity now for almost a year. So it was good. It was good to have the interaction with the fans as well. So it was really good, and obviously we hope to do that a little bit more moving forward. But we hope to have some positive results, because tell you what, sitting through 90 minutes of that and then and listening to obviously some of the comments and sharing some of the disappointment with some of the viewers, and then having to sit through it now and break it down is difficult, like Joe said as well. So we will do that, and let's hope that we can bring some cheer to everyone somehow.
Yeah, we will. And 𝐿�H𝐃𝐄𝐎, I'll see if this can cheer me up. We will do our best, 𝐿�H𝐃𝐄𝐎. I think this one feels particularly difficult today because we were all feeling confident before the game. All of the predictions that were on the pre-stream pretty much had a Rovers victory. And it just felt like post-deadline day, we were set fair and ready to go. And sadly, we've not got the victory today. So it kind of sets us back a little bit. And, it's a disappointing one. And yeah, again, as Ben Knight has picked up, we've had the chance to get closer to the top six or break to the top six, and it's not happened. So these are things that are coming up to haunt this Rovers side again and again, and we are going to have to make that mental leap at some point. But we'll get under the skin of it through the show, as we usually do. Just a few reminders. If you are joining us for the first time, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Rovers Chat on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Doing loads of video content this season, and just for the first time today, we did the watch along, as I say, with me and Luke. So that's probably something that's going to be here to stay. If you're not following us on Twitter, we are Rovers_chat on Twitter. Please give us a follow and you can stay up to date with everything that we have there. But before we make a start, just a reminder that we are sponsored by 𝐿𝐻𝐃𝐄𝐎.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝐿𝐻𝐃𝐄𝐎.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
𝐿𝐻𝐃𝐄𝐎.com for their very kind sponsorship. Before I come to you three, just going to pick up some other initial reaction. Ross Gibson, well, that was poor. Harry BRFC, disgraceful. From Rovers, that is, not Rovers Chat. Thanks, Harry. Gary H, not good enough from the players in the second half. David Park, we were unlucky today. Confident for the Preston game still, some great chances. Fluky goal. Lachlan Kearney, poor performance, but everyone loses these types of games. Still a long way to go. Bournemouth will have bad patches, so we've got to keep in and around the top six, and we're always in with a chance. And Sam Potter on to Friday. Absolutely. So, Joe, I'm going to come to you first. Just sum up your kind of initial thoughts and emotions post that game.
Oh, yeah, it's really, really rubbish, wasn't it? I thought we were awful. It's not very often you'll hear me say that, but I think it's the worst we've played this season, to be honest. I came away frustrated, angry. We just got it wrong in so many areas from the start and with the changes that we made. I think I could see that result come in from about 30 minutes in. Was just a tough one, a really tough one to take, and a tough one to try and talk about because I'm struggling to find many positives from the game. I thought too many players were under par. I thought the tactics were wrong. I thought the substitutions were wrong. We had an injury. I just think everything about it was just frustrating. And in some ways, it's just one of them where you want to forget about it and just move on. But we'll talk about it for an hour instead and put ourselves through the pain, shall we?
No, absolutely. And I'm relying on the likes of yourself and Jonathan and people in the comments as well, just to give me your view on the game, because I think Luke's probably in the same position as me. I've really enjoyed doing the watch along with Luke. So aside from the game, it's been a pretty positive experience watching that game. So relying on you all just to show some of the things that were wrong with that game as well. So Jonathan, I'm going to come to you. Sum up your views on the game. How are you feeling after that? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think the word I'll use is frustration. I can see what Joe's saying, etc. For watching the first half, I thought the first half was a really, really bizarre watch. Initially, in terms of the formation, the tactics, how we set up, how Harvey Elliott seemed to be deployed as a false nine, how Gallagher and Armstrong were so wide. I thought it was a scrappy start, and then Lenihan gave away a silly foul on the right-hand side when he come through on Lee Wallace when he didn't even need to. That seemed to give them a bit of impetus, and I have to admit, for the first 20, 25 minutes, we rode our luck a bit, really. Made 2 or 3 really good defensive clearances, Bell, Brampwaite. And then the second half of the first half was a lot better, actually. Probably the best part of the game, where Armstrong on the left actually really started to exploit the gaps that Todd Kane was leaving, etc., and got in. The ball he pulled back to Harvey Elliott. Elliott's got to score. He has to score. Again, this is very much like what we've said on streams before. First goal is so crucial. So half-time probably come at a little bit of a wrong time for us, but then second half was just really disappointing. The goal we conceded, I think I was frustrated in how we conceded defensively, the number of sort of ricochets and clearances we didn't get. People might say we was unlucky, but I'm not convinced. Equally, I was a bit frustrated that it come from Nyambe doing a fantastic block on a Charlie Austin shot, then going out to the right, and in my opinion, I'd like to see it back, a needless foul to actually give away the free kick. I really didn't think we helped ourselves in that situation. After their goal, we had a little bit of a push where Holtby had a shot. Armstrong has been unlucky, maybe should have scored. Dickey did a really good block. Armstrong's had another good shot saved by their goalkeeper. I don't think we deserve to win, but I think I'm a tad frustrated we didn't draw, because the amount of saves their goalkeepers had, and then someone in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, this is another game where we've conceded a goal, and I don't think Kaminski's made a save, and that's the 4th or 5th time this happened this season. So it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, it was, and I think you're right about Kaminski. I'm trying to think back to a save. I think you are right with that one. So Luke, I'm going to come to you before going into the comments. We've just watched that game together. We commented in the watch along, didn't we, that at times the formation just seemed a bit weird. We weren't really getting that kind of fluidity in QPR's half in particular and things like that. So what's your thoughts about the game, summing that up?
Like you said, Ryan, it was an enjoyable experience to watch it, actually, and have some fan interaction. It felt like it did take the edge off what on the whole was a pretty poor performance. We said it in the streams. Well, Ryan's gone, but I'll crack on with what I'm saying anyway. We certainly said in the watch along today, myself and Ryan commented on on the formation, which both of you, Joe and Jonathan, have commented on, the formation for me was bizarre. I think when we get a player like Gallagher, on the team sheet, you're expecting, certainly in a game like that, when you've got three pretty, I'm not being harsh here, but they aren't the quickest three centre halves in the division. Armstrong could have had a field day today. I think certainly if we've got Gallagher playing in a more central position and Armstrong playing closer to him, winning the headers like he was doing today, Gallagher, he absolutely was, defensively and in attacking positions. He was winning his aerial battles. So for me, if Armstrong's playing a little bit closer to him, then we've got the opportunity then for Armstrong to play off the shoulder like he does and get a lot more chances. Yes, in the second half, he had a bit of joy coming in off the left, but it's not where he's getting his goals, really. A couple of chances from outside the box, a couple of decent strikes, but in the end, you want Armstrong one-on-one. You want him when he's in behind the defenders and getting, certainly better chances. And I'm sure, Joe, you've seen that in the XGs over games as well. Just disappointing, really, especially in the, as Jonathan said, that first half of the first half was really poor. We had to weather a serious storm there, like most of us in East Lancashire have been weathering today. But yeah, certainly not our best performance at all. And I know we'll come on to it, but it wasn't Elliott's best game. And he's been fantastic this season. He's a breath of fresh air. He's a fantastic talent. But for me, any player can get tired. Any player can get fatigued, and any player can maybe just need pulling out of the limelight at some point. And I think with the options that we've got, we've certainly got an opportunity to pull Elliott from the first 11 and just maybe give him a breather that he needs and get him back to his best, because it wasn't Elliott's best game today. And again, Joe, with the stats, it'd be interesting to see just how many completed successful passes he had, because for me in attacking positions I saw very, very few today.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
I think I'm back now, so I don't know what has been the most frustrating part of today: the internet in my local area or Rovers' performance. So maybe everyone else can decide. How I'm still smiling after today, I don't know. So apologies for that. Joe, you're going to have to control the comments for me if you can, mate. So my apologies for that. We'll just dip back into them again. So I think we got down to Newman Alley. As usual, we bottle it when we could move into the playoffs. Callum Robinson making the point here, Joe. You're doing your badges. Let's get you into Mowbray's position.
Not me coaching badges, mate. No, I'm not after Mowbray's job. I'm doing my PFSA's scouting, data analysis, stuff like that. But yeah, appreciate it.
Gillis Sadak, the results today elsewhere went in our favour minus Bournemouth, so we go again Friday. Unsure if it's becoming a mental thing from the squad. When it's time to perform, we lapse. Steve Hayworth, on the good side, we haven't dropped a place in the league, but on the bad side, the top six are pulling away from the pack. We have got that game in hand against Swansea, which, albeit I know is a tough game, but if we can win that game, it does close that gap slightly to Bournemouth. But yeah, we can't let them get too far, because then you're relying on going on a ridiculous run towards the end of the season, which law of averages says you're probably not going to do. I can see that there's quite a bit of response here with regards to Harvey Elliott, which I assume was discussed whilst I was in the Matrix and not on this stream. So we'll maybe come on to Harvey Elliott in a bit and revisit those comments. Yeah, we'll move on from there. So Joe, I'm going to come to you then, because I always rely on you for some of the formation and tactical side of things. You've got a few interesting overlays to show us, haven't you, about the formation? And it's something that Luke and I picked up in the watch along. Just how were Rovers set up today? Because at times I found it quite confusing.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it? I think really what we saw is something like this, which, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little bit like this box formation that we'd seen. You kind of saw Armstrong and Gallagher really wide, Elliott and Rothwell in three roles behind, and and Travanport in a double pivot. I don't really think it worked too effectively. Obviously, there were also times where it kind of looked like this too, with Elliott kind of being a false nine and dropping into this hole, and kind of 4 central midfielders there and 2 wider strikers. But come the end of the game, after all those changes and all that chopping about, we kind of ended up looking something like this, maybe. Not a real back three, but kind of a back three with a more defensive right back. Bell pushing a bit higher, and then basically 4 strikers up front, none of which dropping back to feet to try and get the ball. Highly frustrating. I thought this setup from the beginning was just wrong. I thought, QPR play a 5 at the back, and I think that Armstrong and Gallagher were both having to beat 2 men on both of their sides, and there was still another one in the middle. And we didn't have a player running through that middle area because we were playing this weird formation. So I would have liked to have seen a 4-3-3 today. I don't know what more Tyrese Dolan has to do to start. I don't know what more Ben Brereton has to do to play games. I think they come on and they look good. And I just think in some ways it feels like we're playing these formations to try and fit Sam Gallagher in. And despite the fact Sam played really well today, I don't really think we should be playing our whole system just to suit one player. I don't think it suits Adam Armstrong. I don't think it suits Dak when he comes on. It definitely doesn't suit Elliott. So I think questions have got to be asked as to why we're playing the way we're playing.
Yeah, I found the formation and things really frustrating today and a bit confusing. And Luke and I regularly talked about it on the watch along, just, what was going on. So, Jonathan, I'm going to come to you first before going to Luke. Do you think Mowbray's potentially overcomplicated things today with that formation? That box that Joe's shown there, it looks like an inverted box, and then you've got Harvey Elliott, the most advanced central player. And, we've got a good set of players in a 4-3-3 system that away from home at times has really served us well. So do you just think that, what was Mowbray trying to achieve today with how he was set up? Do you think he's just overcomplicated, over-respected the opposition? What's gone on there?
It's a good question. I think ultimately he has overcomplicated it. Admittedly, QPR have been on a bit of a better run recently. They've kept a few more clean sheets in the last 6. I think they're unbeaten in 6 now. But equally, they've only kept 1 clean sheet in 8 home games. So that was where I thought we could actually probably attack and get in. I can understand from when we beat them at Ewood earlier in the season how much Armstrong ripped Rob Dickie apart. So it looks like he's tried to overcomplicate that and try and isolate Armstrong against Dickie, which, to be fair, the last 15 minutes of the first half it did. But equally, I think that, as we've alluded to, they're trying to fit people into a certain different formation has actually impacted on our fluidity. It didn't feel like a Blackburn Rovers team for the first half of the first half. We really struggled to get the ball down. I thought we went too long, too often. Admittedly, as Luke's highlighted, Gallagher didn't win a few in the air, but it just seemed odd. And I thought that even when looking back to when we beat QPR early in the season, we got so much joy out of Armstrong playing on the last man, Elliott dropping deep and putting him in.
Yeah, and Luke, we were talking about it on the watch along, weren't we? That box formation, is designed to be quite fluid and quite progressive and things like that. And especially in the first half, we just didn't see that from Rovers really until later in that first half, did we? We weren't playing in the QPR half. We weren't playing that possession-based football that we have been playing. So ultimately, setting up in this way, particularly first half, has not really achieved much, has it?
Not at all. I think the box might possibly have worked if we'd have used the box a bit narrower, like the box has been used in the past, and we've had some success with it. I think by having, I said it when you were in the Matrix, so I will repeat, but by having Armstrong and Gallagher so wide apart, and then you had, as Joe showed on the graphic, Harvey Elliott filling sort of a false 9 role. It just didn't work. It's as simple as that. You're then firing balls up to Gallagher, who's got no one near him, so no one then playing off the back three. You've got Elliott and Armstrong that aren't able to get into the attacking positions that like Jonathan said, we would have the success in playing off the shoulder and getting in behind. It just didn't work. It's as simple as that. And I know we were saying about playing formations to get Gallagher in. I honestly don't think that's a formation that Gallagher should be anywhere near. I think if we're playing Gallagher and like we were doing, lumping balls up to him, you've got to have someone near him. Having him isolated on that wing it just seemed bizarre. The formation's nothing that I've seen from Mowbray or Rovers this season, and I just can't quite understand why today we picked this game to change it up like that. I know we spoke about changing formations and having that option now by having certain players in your Howard Bellis now, for example, and having Bradley Dack back, etc. But that formation was not one that I'd have ever, even contemplated us using with the players that we've got. As Joe said, you've got the likes of Dolan, Brereton, Dack, really exciting attacking players. And today, all we did was quash our attacking options, really. And it just, for me, we didn't look like scoring. And it was, we did speak about it on the watch along, and it was just a little bit disappointing. And we had to weather a storm, and we did that. And yes, looking at the stats, okay, we've had 7 shots on target, but it didn't feel like that for me. They weren't great chances, and Mowbray can say that perhaps we deserved a goal, or our chances should have warranted a goal, but they weren't great chances.
Yeah, and just that's a really neat segue for me to come back to Joe. So, Joe, you've retrieved the usual XG map that you do for the games. So do you just want to talk us through the quality of chance that we have created today from an XG perspective, and whether this box formation has achieved what it needs to?
Yeah, well, it's a frustrating one today. Almost double the XG of the opposition. 2 huge chances for us. And we've lost the game 1-0. We've been on the receiving end of this before. Obviously, Mowbray's alluded to in his comments after the game, at times this season, we've scored 5, 4, 3 goals. But we've had those games like Bristol away and Forest at home. And today was the same, and I do agree with him on that. But we can't just sit here after those games and say, oh, well, it was just one of them. We've got to be a bit more proactive than that. We've got to find ways of winning the games that are just one of them. Because at the minute, it doesn't feel like we've got that plan B. Somebody on Twitter alluded to the fact that it's another game that we've lost against a back 5, or struggled to score against a team that plays a back 5. I think when I saw Howard Bellis warming up, I thought maybe we would do the same, but we didn't. Thought that was an odd substitution, but I'm sure we'll touch on the subs at some point as well. So in terms of individual probabilities, Adam Armstrong, the shot that should have gone either side of Rogdicke, that had a 44% goal probability. And the second best striker in the division, you've got to be putting that in the net, really, haven't you? If you're going to purport to be a Premier League goal scorer, you've got to score the goals that you've got a 44% chance of an average player putting in the net. Harvey Elliott's chance, 42% probability of a goal. And just for reference for how high those probabilities are, the goal that QPR scored with Barbet, that only had a 21% probability. Everyone kind of looked at that goal and thought that was a really easy finish. So, we should have scored goals. It was a real letdown. And it's highly frustrating when we come away from games and haven't played the football we wanted to play and still haven't managed to grind out a result. Because what have we achieved? If we'd have played some silky football and lost, we'd sit here and say, oh, well, we can't just keep playing fancy football and losing games. But it didn't work doing the kind of hit and hope today, did it, really? And I think just a bit too much chopping and changing for me. But make of that map what you will. But I think way too many speculative efforts from out wide and some poor finishing in key areas.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll go through the game in some detail like we usually do, and probably pick up Harvey Elliott as an area of focus given some of the comments we've had. But just a couple of things on what you've said, Joe. Luke and I, again, spoken it on the watch along. First 10 minutes, just the booting the ball away and the hoofing it up pitch and that type of stuff was really unlike Rovers in that first 10 minutes. And then we just seemed to, towards the end of the first half, just balance it out a bit more with a bit more possession in the QPR half and less kind of hoofing. But you're right, it's not really worked as a plan apart from, I think, the one ball that Lenihan played over the top in behind Dickie and that Armstrong chance that you say there. That's the only time that's really worked. But then the other thing, that Harvey Elliott chance, that is for me a huge chance for a player like, let's be straight, he's 17 years old, but he is a complete 17-year-old. That, I'll stay with you, Joe, that chance for Harvey Elliott, I was quite surprised how much he skied that and how much it was off target. Were you surprised just how badly he missed that chance?
Yeah, I thought it was dreadful, but I suppose we can't complain. He is young, but yeah, it's a shocking miss. You've got to put it in the net, and I think it wasn't just that, was it? I think probably his worst game for us, and I thought it was almost detrimental to his development as a footballer to keep him on the pitch. I really don't know what we were trying to achieve by keeping him on past the 60th minute. I could understand not making the change at half time and hoping that a little break and a few words might help. But, like Luke alluded to before, it'd be interesting to see what his pass completion rate was for today. It just didn't work for him. I don't think he was helped by the fact he played in about 7 different positions by the full-time whistle going, and in 3 different formations and setups. But, he was poor, probably the poorest performer today. But that's fine. He's a young lad. But I think he should have been protected a bit more. I think he should have come off earlier. Well, he didn't come off at all, did he? And he should have done for me. So, yeah, poor from him, but also some poor game management from the coaching setup.
Yeah. So I'm going to combine 2 comments here, Jonathan, or 2 themes in the comments and just ask you. So, Pelly Poll 10, appalling performance. Elliott has to be better. The midfield have to control the game better and attack have to finish their chances. Luke Howard, does anyone think that Elliott needs to be dropped because think he is now a guaranteed starter? Michael Pearson, correctly, we do need to go easy on Elliott. Criticism is beyond harsh. He's 17. May just need to have a rest. Lucky to have him. David Park, Brio and Dolan as competition for those spots. Gillis Sadak, Elliott is young. Don't think he's been played in his position today. A rest would do him good. And I think that was it on the comments. Just a few comments we had previously as well, Jonathan, was about Tyrese Dolan, and Joe made the point as well about what does Dolan need to do to start games. So on the basis of what you've seen today and some of the stuff Joe was saying about Elliott and the way that he's played today, do you think a little rest would do Elliott some good? And just to add on to that question, is resting him for the Preston game, which is a big game for us, the right thing to do, or should it be the game after that maybe?
I agree with what Joe said initially about how, as a coaching setup in a club, we've really not helped him today with the multiple positions, not getting the best out of him. And I was really surprised that he wasn't one of the first names brought up when we made the triple sub at 60 minutes. I was really surprised that Berriton didn't start today. I think he possibly could do a bit of rest, but I think for me, it's more about actually a lot of the players. We shouldn't rely on Elliott as a 17-year-old. We've got so much attacking sort of flair and sort of creativity there that someone has to step up. I've been disappointed with Rothwell the last few games. Equally, I think I'm just really disappointed with how we start games at the moment and the fact that we don't get teams on the back foot. We've seen how vital the first goal is, etc. And I just doesn't feel like at the moment we're attacking teams or we're utilising that sort of the pressing game. And to be fair, probably the best we've done that this season is towards the start of the season, where Dolan was a big part of that, where we could really push teams back and get on the back foot. Sorry. I think with Preston, it's a really interesting one, because what worries me now about the Preston game is that they've lost again today. It's a local derby. It's starting to feel a little bit like the game we played at home to them last season, where they was above us, but they come just not to lose. And I'm worried now we're going to have a stalemate where we sort of have a draw, which then means we've lost 3 points today, we lose 2 points on Friday, and it just really loses all of our momentum. So I appreciate I've answered your question in a roundabout way there, Ryan.
No, you're fine. And whilst you were talking there, David Parks made the point that wasn't Preston away the game Elliott didn't play. Maybe I'm wrong. I think you are right, David.
He was.
I think it was.
He is right, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually think in that game as well, Elliott came on and actually ended up going off because he got that injury, didn't he? He got the dead leg or whatever it was. I think someone ended up injuring him. So Elliott didn't really play in that game either. So you're spot on there, David, with that. Yeah, David Parker was a sub that game and worked well, was after Galley's cameo at Luton. Yeah, absolutely right, David. So, okay, let's unpick the game in a bit of detail. Just go through, how Rovers have played, etc., and we'll keep picking up the comments. So, Luke, I'm going to come to you first. As I say, we've done the watch along. We've watched that. So, it was quite a surprising start to the game, I thought. I thought QPR really came at us. They got in behind us a couple of times, Branthwaite and Bell in particular making some clearances in our own 6-yard box. And it took us a good 15 to 20 minutes, didn't it, to settle into that game and stop just hoofing the ball up pitch and panicking on the ball. It took us a while to just find our feet in possession, and then we just slowly but surely started to make an imprint in that final third, didn't we?
Yeah, we absolutely saw that. I've said it before, but we weathered a storm. We really did. You picked up on it then that there were the Bell clearance, the Branthwaite clearance. We could have gone one down very early on in that game, and then it's a different game at that point. If you do chasing a game from that early, we didn't. We weathered the storm, and I think in the end we sort of did that okay. I just think it was very difficult, the way, I know we keep harping back to it, but it is so important to talk about the way we set up, because that didn't allow us to play. We were so wide when you're getting into that final third that the way we sort of commented on it was we just couldn't make the ball stick. And yeah, we were lumping it up quite a lot, which isn't, proactive at all. When you're trying to play the way Rovers play, it's not how we've played this season, and it's not. We don't have the kind of players to play that way. Even with Gallagher, like I said earlier, you're lumping the ball up to Gallagher. You need someone to be close to him anyway. Like, it's not going to play a long ball when you've got people completely isolated up top. So that just wasn't working. And then obviously the ball was coming straight back to us. We mentioned it earlier. There were a couple of loose balls from Harvey Elliott as well, and it was just that rhythm. We just couldn't get going at all, and no sooner we'd get the ball and look like stringing maybe 2-3 passes together, we'd lose the ball and we'd be on the back foot again. So yeah, it just weren't working. Yes, maybe after 15-20 minutes we managed to get a foot on the ball, start to hold on to it a little bit more, but again it was more of the same. Into the attacking third, we'd lose the ball, it'd be a loose pass, it just wouldn't hit the right man. There were a couple of moments when our fullbacks started to get into attacking positions. Bell got into an attacking position at one point in the first half. Nyambe managed to get in behind because we weren't seeing that often enough. Me and you commented on it, especially on the back of you're on the other side, that the left-hand side was a weak side that they'd, as a club and a fan base, had sort of isolated, and we certainly weren't isolating the left-hand side at all until later on in that first half when like I said, Nyambe did get in behind a little bit. But that's where we've seen Harvey Elliott most dangerous, running at a left-back and running down that right flank. And he just wasn't in them positions at all today. And I don't think that was on Harvey Elliott. It was just on the setup that he was in. And it was completely all over the place. He must have not known where he was playing at times in that game. But regardless of where he's playing, the passes should be hitting the man. And it's a very difficult one. And then it comes to that chance. And as Joe said, with that XG as well, we could see that. I mean, you don't need stats to back that chance up. He's on the 6-yard box. He's got no one round him. He's plenty of time. He probably rushed the shot, not knowing how much time he had. At 1-0, if you score in the first half, having not scored in the first half for for some games now. I can't remember the last time we scored in the first half. We could then dominate that game and play the way we want to play. So, chances are big turning points in games, and that was certainly one in that first half when we looked to be getting on top a little bit.
Yeah, and we did end that first half really strongly. I thought we had the Armstrong free kick, which was well saved. The Elliott chance, which we've spoken about, and then just seemed to be a bit more progressive in that final third. But Joe, you joined the watch along at half time, and I think you did tweet at half time as well, didn't you? About would you have taken a draw at half time, and ultimately that's come to fruition with how the game has borne out. So what did you see at half time that just made you tweet that and think that? What is it you were seeing and disappointed with?
Well, I didn't see the attacking output from us, so I didn't see us getting a goal. I maybe thought perhaps we might grab one late because that's what we do. But what I saw was some really odd defending at set pieces. We had Ryan Nyambe man marking Charlie Austin at every set piece, and Nyambe isn't the tallest, isn't the most physical in the air, and got caught out pretty recently with a set piece. So I think I saw that and definitely said, they'll score at least one from these corners or these free kicks, and they keep lumping the ball in the box like that, and there you go. So I thought I thought maybe 1-1 or 1-0 was going to be the final score at half time, which is kind of what inspired me to say that I would have taken the draw there and then.
Yeah, and I don't mind saying to you that at the time I was just like, no, I want the win. I think we've ended that half pretty strongly, and I was hoping we would go on and win. So absolutely can see why you did that now, and ultimately that's how it's panned out. So Jonathan, I'm going to come to you then just to talk about the goal. You've already pointed out it was a silly free kick to give away first and foremost, but there was an element of good fortune with the goal, wasn't there? So the ball's put in. I think it's Travis wins the header and heads it against the back of someone. Then it's bobbling around a little bit. And then I think it's Davenport actually makes a really good slide tackle clearance that then pings to Branthwaite. He kind of instinctively reacts and it falls to Barbet to stick the ball in the net. It was a little bit unlucky, wasn't it, to concede in the way that we did. But first and foremost, let's not be giving those free kicks away.
Yeah, I think that is certainly the first and foremost, and I felt with something that we've been doing quite a bit recently. Even the Stoke game at home, I felt we give away needless fouls. I can. There is an element of luck with the goal, and if we'd have scored that sort of goal, maybe we'd have been praising whoever scored it for being on their toes and being alive, etc. I don't know. It wasn't just one, was it? There was like 2 or 3 times we could have cleared it, and I would expect Mowbray's actually probably gone to town on the team about that goal being a centre half himself, that no one's actually took control. And I need to see it again. Obviously, Branthwaite, he's reacted to something, but again, he's still put it back across the goal into the danger area. So it is just frustrating because once. As Joe's point about saying he'd take a point at half time, I said back to him, I said, no, not for me. I want to go for the win. But then equally, I said, if we go 1-0 down, I was worried that would kill us. And ultimately it did. We had a decent spell for 10-15 after it where Holtby and Armstrong had the chance. Armstrong had another chance. But then once we made the subsequent 2 subs, the 4th and 5th sub, I don't think we created nothing, did we? So that again was frustrating, and that is a familiar sign this year when we've been chasing games. It doesn't feel like we put a glove on teams for like the last 10-15 minutes, 6 minutes of injury time, and they looked like scoring the second goal more than we did, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And just on the goal and Branthwaite's kind of involvement in the goal, it's just one of those really unlucky ones for Branthwaite, isn't it? Where I think pure instinct and human reaction has just stuck his foot out in the way it has. And as you say, it's just kicked it back across the goal, and Barbet's been able to put it in. So maybe that's something that, with a few more years experience, he can cut out of his game. Luke, I'm going to come to you. Jonathan's made the point, we go 1-0 down. We've made a few subs. We've tried to impact the game in a different way. You and I were pretty critical actually on the watch along, saying, what's Armstrong doing on the left-hand side? And he proved us wrong a couple of times when he was getting down that left-hand side and coming into a central area. We did have one big chance. It won't be high in the XG terms, but he cut inside, got the ball off Bradley back, and he's hit a great shot into the top corner. And _Dieng's made a fantastic save, hasn't he? You know, are you disappointed that that is our only chance really that we've had to equalise in the game, a shot from outside the box that the keeper's tipped over?
Credit to _Dieng, because it is a good save, and I know someone was saying earlier on then in the comments that we need to give him more credit. Yeah, he's a great keeper, but at the end of the day, when I was talking about good chances in this game, I'm thinking of chances like the last time we played QPR, for example, when Armstrong's in behind and he's on his own and he gets to pick his spot. There were none of them today for me, absolutely no chances. And yes, Adam Armstrong got a few good chances coming in off the left. But I'll stick to sort of the conversation we were having in the watch along that for me, him coming in off the left and having them chances outside the box, that's where he's found himself frustrated in recent games. Adam Armstrong's got, 17 goals this season, and he's got his 17 goals by getting in behind, playing off the shoulder, and being that pacey striker and that tricky striker to play against. Defenders don't want to play against that. Don't want to play against someone squaring them up or having the opportunity then to get in behind when you've got the likes of Harvey Elliott, Joe Rothwell, playing those balls, and we've seen it from Darragh Lenihan as well. I just think coming in off the left that didn't give Armstrong the opportunity to get enough chances. So yeah, like you say, to have that one chance and for that to be our big chance in the second half was really disappointing for me. And we've seen a comment about Mowbray and talking about using Harvey Elliott as a false nine to exploit his pace. We have Armstrong to do that, and that's why that's how Armstrong scores his goals. So just bizarre that Armstrong didn't get more chance down the middle today, because I think then we would have had more decent chances in that second half.
Yeah, and chance creation today is something that's really haunted us. We've had the two big chances that Joe described, from Elliott and Armstrong, and then we've had the good save from _Dieng. But we've struggled as an attacking force today. And Joe, I think you've got a graphic, haven't you? To show us of Rovers this season. So talk us through it.
Yeah, so this is all the games that we've played against 3 or 5 back formations this season, and you can kind of see how we've done against that. I mean, obviously, 4 losses, 1 draw, 3 wins versus 3 or 5 at the back systems this season. We'd started to cope with them, but mainly in those home games. So teams that are coming to Ewood and playing 5 at the back and trying to sit, we're usually managing to nick it. Those 3-2-1s, the prime example. But away from home, we've lost every game that we've faced a 5 at the back away from home this season, which I think is really telling that we don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, it is. And do you think, so we saw it today, obviously we saw that, I'll stick with you, Joe. So he's obviously seen that QPR play that 5 at the back, and he's tried to do that inverted box. And actually, even those 3 wins that you brought up there, I think I'm right in saying, are they not all stoppage time winners that we got in those games, or certainly late goals?
Yeah, pretty
so
much.
The games we've struggled in as well, aren't they? So what do you think's going wrong then? Do you think that tactically Moby he's struggling to cope with a 5 or 3 at the back, that he's trying to overcomplicate it with a box, that he just doesn't know how to break it down? What do you think's going on here? What's the reasoning?
It's a tough one. I think it's a mixture of that, but I think it's also not really knowing what the opposition are going to do. So QPR, for example, don't always play a 5 at the back. They didn't play a 5 at the back when they came to Ewood, which is interesting to note, because obviously, they've played a 5 at the back probably for most of 2021, but when they came to Ewood, they played 4 at the back, and we beat them 3-1. And I wonder whether, Mowbray would have known if they would have played 4 or 5, because I suppose you could predict, maybe you could think to yourself, well, we've beat them and they played 4, so maybe they'll play 5 now so that the same thing doesn't happen again. But when teams aren't so rigid, there's only really Middlesbrough and Swansea that we're going to play a 5 every week, maybe Bournemouth as well. But most teams that play it switch it around, so it's really hard to know. And I think there'll be an element of not knowing whether they were going to operate that system or not. He put Armstrong out on the left to try and outpace Dickie, as he's mentioned in his post-match comments. But when they play 5 at the back, that might make that a little bit null and void. So all of that becomes a bit irrelevant, though, because at the end of the day, you can see from the first minute whether they're playing a 5 at the back or not. And sometimes it's about being able to change things on the fly, and I don't think we managed to do that today.
No. Well, Charlie, the QPR fans, seemed to know they were going to play 5 at the back, and that's how it ended up. So I'm hoping that we've done our due diligence in that respect. And Jonathan, just to build on what Joe said there, something I really picked up, particularly first half, was, again, linked into that. Well, it wasn't even the box formation at times. We seemed to have Armstrong, Elliott, and Gallagher pressing their 3 centre-backs, and then it left some weird spaces in the wing-back areas. Todd Kane had loads of space, and then I think that gap behind that 3, between the 3 and then Travis and Davenport, there seemed to be loads of space there that either Rothwell wasn't getting into or whatever. So just seemed an odd way to set up today, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What I can't comment on, what would be interested to know is, like, for me, QPR's pitch looks like actually one of the smaller pitches, and that's from watching it on telly and also going there. I don't know if it's how the stadium's set up, but no, you're right. I actually felt that even though if you looked at how QPR set up and their main danger man Ilias Chair, he actually, you'd imagine he'd be playing in the middle part of the pitch. He actually spent a lot of time out on the left, and Nyambe didn't have that sort of cover, and there was a lot of gaps there, and there was a lot of times where Chair and Wallace overlapped Nyambe, and that was where a couple of the sort of crosses came from, where we actually defended them all right, but it did seem quite easy for them just to break our front line, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It did. It was. I think odd is the way that that's how I'm going to describe today's performance. At times I just couldn't put my finger on it, and you're just looking at it like, Luke, I'm going to come to you just to talk about the subs. So it was Michael Pearson on the watch along that said Tony's substitution tombola up for business on 60 minutes, and that happened. So hats off to Michael for predicting that. So we made the triple sub on 60 minutes, and then we brought on Harwood-Bellis and Brereton after that. So I just want to focus on Harwood-Bellis. So as a first look at him, he was in right back, which is probably not his natural position. How do you think he did today?
Firstly, on that substitution, I thought it was a very weird substitution. And I know I'm not going to talk too much about contracts and other things, because that's for some of our other content and some of our other shows. But by pulling Ryan Nyambe off as a like-for-like swap when you're not really changing the system, when his contract's coming up, seems a really, really risky move for me. Quite bizarre. But again, like I say, that can be for another stream, and can discuss that at some point. Again, I thought it was a strange change. Just alluding to what I was saying there, he wasn't bringing him on really to change the system as such, and he was bringing a centre back on to play at right back. I know he can play at right back, and he has filled in at right back, but this is not his favoured position. So for him to come on and do a job there was a big ask. I thought he did that. Simple as that. I thought he looked really good, composed on the ball, got a couple of decent crosses in, got himself into some good attacking positions. Didn't really put a foot wrong. I thought, yeah, he looks composed, he looks assured, he looks like a player that's played a lot of football, and quite evidently he hasn't. So for me, I think it's promising going forward with Harwood-Bellis. I just don't know how he fits into our system now, because Mowbray doesn't seem to be going for the 5 at the back. Whether he will in games to come, who knows? I certainly can't see him, pushing Lenihan out of the team, but for an injury or a suspension, and Branthwaite's, is a young lad and he's doing a fine job. So for me, I think the centre-back pairings there or thereabouts. Whether it's going to be rotation at right back now, but again, I think that's a really risky scenario if we've unless something's going on behind the scenes with the Nyambe contract that we all don't know about. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Howell Bellis, but as a player, I thought he did really well today.
And Joe, just before we end the stream in a few minutes' time, just want to pick your brain on a couple of the comments that we've had. So David Park, what's everyone's thoughts on 𝐿𝐻𝐵 out of contract soon? And then Rickin85, Dolan has to start, definitely offers more than Gallagher. Armstrong ended up being a winger. So both of those came on as subs today. So just two questions, I guess. How did you think those two did when they came on? And then secondly, where do you see their role going forward in the team and what would you be doing?
Well, I think I was already worried enough for Lewis 𝐿𝐻𝐵 that he probably wouldn't be here past this season. But if he has re-injured his kind of returning injury on his leg today, then I'm pretty confident he won't be with us for 21-22. I just don't really think it's worked for him here. I don't think really he's suited our system particularly well. Whether or not he stays in England and keeps going in the Championship, I don't know. I could see him going to a Sheffield Wednesday or something like that. That's definitely a team I can see him at, but I really don't think he'll stay at Rovers past this season, which isn't too much of a knock on him. I think he's definitely got ability, but it isn't working for him in our system. We've got way too many midfielders, younger midfielders, and unfortunately for him, because of his pedigree and his history, he's just too expensive for what he brings to the team. I'd sooner pay Stuart Downing on a pay-as-you-play contract for the season while he keeps doing his coaching badges than be dishing out 10 grand a week on Lewis 𝐿𝐻𝐵 if he's not going to play very often. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the 𝐿𝐻𝐵 situation. And then on the second question that you mentioned, I think Dolan's deserved more minutes for a long time. I think he's always bright when he comes on, and I definitely think he should be playing. But I think that comes down to what they want to do with the system. They want that right winger role to be a right forwards role that Gallagher plays in, and it doesn't suit Dolan. So it's going to be weird to see what we do against Preston, because we've beat them 3-0. So to play anyway, other than the way that worked, would be interesting. And with pretty much everybody fit that was available for that Preston game, bar Travis, I suppose. Obviously, he wasn't fit and now is. I'd be interested to see whether we play the formation and the system that we played when we beat them. And if we don't, you'd be saying, well, why not? But maybe then you'd say, well, they've signed players. But yeah, so maybe Dolan does deserve a start, but he didn't start against Preston last time and we did win it 3-0. So
yeah, we'll see what happens against Preston. So Jonathan and Luke, I'll finish with you two to hopefully give us some positivity going forward with Rovers, because today has clearly been a disappointing day for everyone. Particularly with the pre-match optimism and the predictions that we had. It's knocked the confidence a little bit and it's just knocked us in our tracks. So, Jonathan, the best way to respond to this is to go and beat Preston on Friday evening, isn't it? So, what do you want to see on Friday night? I want to see less box formations. I want to see less overcomplication. I want to see us play that 4-3-3 formation that served us well with the likes of Dolan, like Joe was saying, maybe a rest for half. Let's freshen it up. Let's get the right players on the pitch in the right positions. But now, our fan base has been up and down through this season. If we lose that game on Friday, things are going to start turning again for Mowbray a little bit, aren't they? Particularly if we do find ourselves off that top 6 pace again. So tell us what needs to happen on Friday and what you think Rovers are going to do going forward.
Yeah, it's the way you've built it up there, Ryan. It obviously shows how big of a game it can be. I think one thing I'd add to that as well is actually when it's being played. The fact that we're Friday night, we've actually got the first game of the weekend's fixtures. So it's a real chance for us actually to put pressure on other teams around us. Let's get 3 points. Let's push us closer to. Let's get us into 7th place. Let's put the pressure on Bournemouth when they go to I think they're Forest next Saturday, etc. I just want us to really be energetic, really sort of take the game to Preston. It is going to be difficult. I think Michael Pearson made the comment earlier that they're going to probably come park the bus. A draw probably suits them a bit more than us. But I want us really to be on the front foot, really to attack, get the first goal in the first half as well, and really sort of put them on the back foot, really. Because I think that really then can set us up for a nice little run again. We've still got 19 games to go. There's lots left to play. I suppose also we've not touched on it too much today, but this year, 2021, we have actually only conceded 2 goals in the league. So that's a positive. If we can just match up the sort of bit better defensive solidity with actually taking a chance. I know I say it every time, getting the first goal, then there's still stuff to be positive about. But I think everyone who's watched tonight should definitely go and have a nice, strong alcoholic drink when we wrap up here.
I'm going to be doing that, Jonathan. And I said to Luke on the watch along, I said our very first live stream that we did as Rovers Chat was after the Watford game when we lost. So it was sod's bloody law, wasn't it, that the first watch along was going to be defeat as well. So Luke, I'm going to come to you as the final word. You know, you are a positive Rovers fan. You were in the Hall of Fame last time because of your prediction against Preston, the 3-0 away victory. So today has knocked our confidence. Today has annoyed everybody. So what are we going to see from Rovers on Friday? Can we still be happy? Come on, help us.
I think it's nice that Gareth Devlin said that as well, that the live watch along was a positive. So I'm glad that we managed to make that game enjoyable for you, Gareth. That's the first thing. The second thing is this from Ross Gibson. I think this is pretty much sums it up exactly how I'm feeling, is that we're Blackburn Rovers at the end of the day. And I'm not being, I know a lot of people think that we have this divine right because we are Blackburn Rovers, but we're Blackburn Rovers and we've had some great performances this season through playing our way and just having an identity as Blackburn Rovers. And it's frustrating, I think, when we're playing well and we're having a lot of success, that we change the formation to suit other teams and like we've said on the stream, overcomplicate things. I think we can go into games and with the players that we've got and have a lot of, a positive outlook and a lot of confidence in the ability of the 11 players that we put on that football field and set them up in a way that we can get a positive result. And we said today we've got some great talent in Dolan. We've got that coming back, and let's just play our best 11 and let's put our best side out. And we can go to. We can take it to Ewood on Friday. I don't want to put a pessimistic view on because I'm going to be taking this one out with my final comments. But the pitch isn't going to be great, is it? But it's going to not be great for 2 teams on there, and we've just got to accept that. We've got to go and play our way, hopefully, and get a result, and we can do that. This is going to happen, and we've spoke about it so much this season. We'll have a run of 4 or 5 games where we go on a real great run, and Mowbray's the Messiah. He's going to take us to the promised land, and we're going to win the Premier League. And then the next week we're heading for League One. It's a disaster, and let's all sack Mowbray. And I don't think it's that up and down. I don't think we should be that reactionary about it. You lose football games sometimes, and they come round quickly enough that you can change that look again. So this one Saturday, let's roll on for Friday. And the last time we were on Sky, it went pretty well. Not for Neil Warnock, but certainly for us. So let's hope that happens again, and stick with us next week, guys, because it's a big derby, and we'll certainly enjoy it here at Rovers Chat.
That is a great summary, Luke, and a perfect way to end the show. So absolutely, it's a tough one to take today because I think the expectation was built up, particularly with how well deadline day went and the great work Jonathan did on bringing that to us on deadline day as well. But we roll with the punches. We win, lose and draw together on Rovers Chat and on these live streams. We'll keep bringing them to you. Really pleased that we've made the day bearable for people. If you joined us on the pre-match, the watch along or the post-stream, or indeed across all three of them, you get the gold star if you've done all three. Thank you for making it bearable for all of us at Rovers Chat as well. You know, we do it because we enjoy doing them as well. So let's dust ourselves down. Let's go and have a nice Saturday night drink, as Jonathan says. Let's hit Friday and be confident, and hopefully everyone can enjoy their weeks. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we are... Oh.
Go on. Sorry, Ryan. Just one thing before we do go. One thing that I kind of wanted to mention just before we do finish for the 30 or so of you that are still around. Obviously, Friday we are playing Preston, but I don't know if people will have noticed and stuff, but the under-23s are playing quite well at the minute and playing some really nice football and scoring a lot of goals. And they're playing on Friday as well at 2 p.m. There are some plans in place, as was announced in the fans forum minutes on the Rovers website, to stream the under-23s games. Now, whether that's going to be starting this Friday or next Friday is so far unconfirmed, but we'll hopefully be releasing details along with the club officially this week at some point about whether it'll be available. But if it's not, I think there might be a stream from the other team as well. So be sure to check it out and be sure to follow the under-23 side, because it's really exciting stuff, and we're supporting the club with their efforts to try and make that content more available to you guys.
Brilliant. Really well said, Joe, and I'm sure all of you agree. You know, you've seen the quality of the stuff that Joe produces on the Rovers Analytics account and the stuff that Dan does as well with all of our graphics and overlays. So I'm pretty certain that all of that stuff that they push out, alongside the other guys that do the academy content as well at Rovers Chat, that'll be the usual high quality stuff that you've come to expect from Rovers Chat. So well said, Joe, and please look out for the details on that. So yeah, let's all go and enjoy our Saturday night. We roll with the punches. We win, lose and draw together. So let's dust ourselves down. We'll go again on Friday. Let's go and get the win, and we'll pick up where we left off. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us on Twitter. And of course, please do go and check out our very kind sponsors, 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐿.com. See you later.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐿.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.